Have you ever faced a moment that just felt like a crushing defeat? Where the path forward seems, well, impossible.
Oh, absolutely. Like a failed project or maybe a personal setback.
Yeah, or just feeling completely stuck. But what if that moment, that feeling of failure, was actually your biggest opportunity?
It sounds counterintuitive, right? But that's pretty much the core idea in Ben Bergeron's fantastic book, Chasing Excellence. A story about building the world's fittest athletes.
Okay.
It really argues that building a champion's mindset isn't just for these elite athletes we see.
Right.
It's actually for anyone who wants to maximize their potential, in any part of life. And he shows how those moments of despair can become powerful launch pads.
Okay, I like the sound of that. So today we're doing a deep dive into Bergeron's insights. We'll be looking at the journeys of some CrossFit Games champions he coached.
Yeah, people like Katrín Davíðsdóttir and Matt Fraser.
Exactly. And we'll unpack what chasing excellence truly means and maybe how we can apply some of these lessons, not just in sports, but in our everyday lives.
Whether you're a parent, an entrepreneur, or just trying to get more out of your day.
Definitely. So let's get into it. Bergeron kicks things off with a really powerful story, doesn't he? About Katrín Davíðsdóttir.
Yeah, Katrín. At the 2014 CrossFit Games Regional.
The legless rope, climbs. It sounds like a complete meltdown. What's the first big idea he pulls from that initial, very public failure?
Well, it was a monumental breakdown for her.
Yeah.
Physically and emotionally. She was literally sobbing on the competition floor.
Wow.
But the core insight Bergeron pulls from this is that mental toughness isn't something you're born with. It's a learned skill.
Okay, learned, not innate.
Right. And get this. After she collapsed in 2014, he texts her, and this is the direct quote from the book, "This could be the best thing that ever happened to you."
Whoa, that's bold.
That moment.
Extremely bold.
Yeah.
But it stems from his fundamental belief, his coaching philosophy. I can teach someone to be mentally tough.
Okay.
So his approach, it focuses on developing character first because he's completely convinced that better people make better athletes. Wow, that is powerful. So it's not just about grinding out more reps in the gym.
No, not at all.
It's about fundamentally changing who you are as a person. That feels like a much bigger ask.
It is bigger, yeah.
So for someone listening, maybe not a CrossFit athlete, how would Bergeron suggest they start that deep, meaningful practice he talks about to build their own mental toughness day to day?
Well, he's very clear on this. He says, and I'm quoting again, "The mindset of a champion is not some innate character trait that you have or don't have based on DNA, fate, or sheer dumb luck."
Okay, that's good news for the rest of us then.
It's incredibly good news. It means, we can all forge and sharpen a mindset of a champion through this deep, meaningful practice.
So what did that look like for Katrín?
For Katrín, it meant moving to Boston, training directly with Bergeron, and really learning about positivity, about controlling her reactions,
Yeah.
transforming from what Bergeron himself described as immature, emotional, and weak-minded into a champion.
That's quite a transformation.
Huge. So for you listening right now, it might mean consciously choosing your response when, say, a project goes sideways at work.
Or when your kid throws a massive tantrum.
Exactly. It's recognizing you always have control over your reaction, even if you can't control the event itself. It's a daily commitment, really, to developing those internal qualities, just like Katrín did.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you start laying that character foundation, building that mental toughness,
Yeah.
what's next? Bergeron talks a lot about the process.
Ah, yes, the process.
It sounds like it's more than just, putting in the hours. It sounds very specific, almost obsessive.
It can seem that way. If we connect it to the bigger picture, the process is really about first defining your controllables.
Controllables.
Yeah, those aspects of your effort, your mindset, your preparation that are completely within your direct influence, the things you can actually change and improve.
Yeah.
And then it's about maximizing your capabilities in every single one of those areas with, yes, a commitment that borders on obsession. It's less about those huge, maybe overwhelming goals.
Right, like win the championship.
Exactly. It's more about focusing on the thing you can and should be doing today, right now, to get there. That immediate, actionable step.
So less focus on the finish line, more on what's right in front of you today.
Precisely. It's deceptively simple, focusing on that immediate action. Bergeron actually quotes Tim Grover, Michael Jordan's trainer.
Oh, yeah.
Grover said, "There are no secrets. There are no tricks. If anything, it's the opposite. It's just about pounding on your craft day in and day out."
Okay, day in, day out. But what does that look like practically?
Well, think about Katrín spending like a month and a half just perfecting your air squat, a basic movement.
A month and a half on air squats.
Yeah, or dedicating 90 days, just on muscle-up kip swings.
90 days.
Or Matt Frazier, another champion. He spent 6 months learning to flip this massive 580-pound object they called the pig because it completely destroyed him 1 year at the games. He turned a major weakness into a non-issue.
Okay, that's commitment.
That is deliberate practice, stepping way outside your comfort zone, relentlessly working on the things you're not good at, even if it's not necessarily or particularly enjoyable, as Bergeron puts it.
90 days on just kip swings. I think I'd lose my mind. Or maybe just my grip after, like, day 3.
Yeah, it sounds incredibly tough.
It seems really hard to implement, especially if you feel you're already sort of competent or good enough at something. How do you sustain that focus on something so, like, well, repetitive? Maybe even boring.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's precisely where passion comes in.
Passion.
Bergeron says the only way you can dedicate yourself completely to something, to be all in every single day, leave nothing on the table, is if you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
You have to love it. He uses this great contrast. The Wright Brothers, driven by a deep cause, a passion for flight.
Right.
Versus Samuel Langley, who was also trying to fly, but was motivated more by results, fame, funding, wealth.
So what happened?
Langley quit almost immediately after the Wright brothers succeeded because his desired outcome, fame, was gone. The Wrights kept going, driven by their passion.
Interesting distinction.
And Katrín herself really embodies this. She said about her intense training, "I'm not sacrificing anything. If you gave me the choice of anything in the world to do, I'd do exactly this."
Wow. So for her, the boring work wasn't boring because it served something she loved completely.
Exactly. It wasn't a sacrifice. It was devotion, like you said.
That definitely reframes it. Okay, so you've got the mindset piece. You're committed to the process, fueled by passion. But what happens when things inevitably go wrong? Setbacks happen.
They absolutely do.
The CrossFit Games are notorious for throwing curveballs, right? Unexpected equipment, crazy weather, last-minute rule changes. How do you possibly prepare for that kind of chaos when you can't control the event itself?
That's a really important question. How do champions handle those setbacks, the unpredictable stuff? Bergeron calls it adversarial growth.
Adversarial growth. Tell me more.
Okay, so he shares this incredible story about Brent Fikowski, another top athlete. Fikowski tore his hip labrum.
Ouch. That sounds potentially career-ending.
It could easily have been. But instead of giving up, Fikowski saw it as, and this is his perspective, an opportunity to dedicate all his time to his biggest weakness, which was his upper body strength.
So he used the injury time.
Exactly. He used the recovery time to hammer his weakness, and he came back stronger than ever, actually dominating the next regional competition. He literally turned a disaster into an advantage.
Wow. Turning an injury into a strength, that's next level thinking.
It really is.
But what about those external things? The chaos, the curveballs you can't control, like a judge's call or faulty equipment. This is where Matt Frazier brings in the Serenity Prayer, right?
Seriously. Matt Frazier actually has the Serenity Prayer tattooed on his arm.
No kidding.
Yeah. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Oh.
It's more than just a nice phrase. For him, it's strategy.
How so?
It translates perfectly to something the football coach Urban Meyer used, his E+R=O equation.
Event plus response.
Right.
Outcome. We often don't control the event, right? And we don't directly control the outcome either.
Okay.
But, and this is the absolute key, the only thing we do have total control over is how we choose to respond. The R.
So the outcome isn't just dictated by the event, it's filtered through our reaction to it.
Exactly right.
Can you give me a really vivid example? Like, how does this response play out in this super high-stakes moment when everything seems to be going wrong, a perfect storm kind of situation? Absolutely. Think about Michael Phelps, Beijing Olympics, 200-meter butterfly.
Okay, I remember that race.
His goggles filled completely with water almost immediately. He was swimming blind.
Blind in an Olympic final.
Totally blind. But he didn't panic. He didn't stop. Why? Because in training, he and his coach had visualized everything that could possibly go wrong, including goggle failure. He'd rehearsed his response.
So what did he do?
He knew his stroke count. He knew exactly how many strokes it took to get to the wall. He just kept swimming, purely by feel and count, and won the gold medal.
That's incredible. All about the prepared response.
All about the R. Or, think about Katrín again. 2015 Games, rope climb event. She struggled, placed 15th, lost her leader jersey. Big setback.
Yeah, that must have stung.
You'd think so.
Mm-hmm.
But afterwards, despite her placing, she apparently told her judge, "No, I won."
She won, but she placed 15th.
Her definition of winning in that moment wasn't about the leaderboard. It was about maximizing her effort. It was about overcoming her fear of that specific weakness. That was her controllable win.
Ah, okay. Redefining the win based on her controllable effort.
Precisely. And this, Bergeron explains, is the core of clutch performance. Simply, the ability to do what you can normally do under immense pressure. It comes back to preparation and controlling that response.
Okay, I'm following. But playing devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
Isn't some of this just, common sense repackaged? Work hard, be positive, keep going when things get tough. We've kind of heard versions of this before, right?
That's a fair challenge.
And, this all sounds great for these superhuman CrossFit athletes who dedicate their entire lives to this stuff. But what about, say, a busy parent juggling work and kids? Or an entrepreneur pouring everything into a startup? Or just someone trying to get through their day feeling less overwhelmed? Does it really translate? It sounds a bit intimidating for normal life.
That's a really important point, and it's something the author, Bergeron, directly addresses. He argues that, yeah, maybe the principles sound straightforward, but it's the level of commitment that truly separates those who actually chase and catch excellence. But he's also very explicit, saying this book is not just for elite athletes.
Oh, okay.
He says it's for anyone who wants to figure out just how good they can possibly become, whether you're an entrepreneur trying to break through or you want to be a better doctor, a better mom, or a better middle school basketball coach.
So the framework applies broadly.
Absolutely. That person, process, strategy, hierarchy he talks about, he believes it's universal.
Okay, that's reassuring. But how does, say, a better mom or a better doctor apply this? Their controllables aren't exactly training, nutrition, sleep, recovery.
Exactly. And Bergeron explains it's about identifying your specific categories, your key areas that contribute to excellence in your field or role.
Right.
So for a brain surgeon or a CEO, maybe it's continuous learning, effective communication, managing stress, strategic planning, maybe even self-care to avoid burnout. Those are their controllables.
Okay, identifying your own specific areas.
Yes. And then the key is committing to making yourself just the tiniest percentage better than I am right now in each of those relevant categories every day.
The tiniest percentage.
Yeah, which leads him to the concept of the aggregation of marginal gains. He uses the famous example of Dave Brailsford in British cycling.
Oh, yeah, the 1% improvement guy.
That's the one. They improve performance by just 1% in tons of tiny, often overlooked areas, seat comfort, massage gels, even the type of pillows the cyclists use for better sleep.
Wow, really granular stuff.
Super granular. But those tiny daily improvements, Bergeron notes, are often indistinguishable from small declines in the short term. You don't see much difference day to day.
Right, it doesn't feel like massive progress.
No. But he says by year 3, the gap between those making tiny gains and those slightly declining becomes drastic. And by year 10, the results can be unmatched. It's the compounding effect.
That 1% idea is powerful. But, for many people, just identifying those tiny overlooked areas, especially when you're already juggling so much, feels like another huge task in itself.
That's a valid point. Where do you even start looking for that 1%?
Yeah, does Bergeron offer any advice on how to even begin that diagnostic process, finding your specific categories and those tiny improvement points?
He does. He really emphasizes self-reflection and asking yourself some tough questions, like regularly assessing where you currently are in each of your key categories.
So maybe patience for a parent or meeting efficiency for a manager.
Exactly. And then, crucially, seeking feedback, even when it's uncomfortable. Because that's often how you uncover blind spots, right?
True. Feedback is tough, but useful.
Definitely. He encourages thinking, what's one tiny aspect of my morning routine I could tweak? Could I spend just 5 minutes reviewing yesterday's mistakes to find one minuscule improvement for tomorrow? It's often framed as sharpening the saw.
Right, working on the system, not just in it.
Precisely. It's not always about doing more, but doing what you do just slightly better. It's those consistent, tiny, maybe even humble efforts that compound. Less about grand gestures, more about persistent, daily growth. So if you take away just one thing from this deep dive into chasing excellence, maybe let it be this. Success, ultimately, is a decision. It's not some gift you receive.
A decision, not a gift. I like that.
It's not really about innate talent. It's about making that daily decision to commit fully to the process.
Okay.
And that means, relentlessly focusing on developing your character, seeing adversity as an opportunity, maximizing every minute with deliberate practice on your controllables, and controlling your response to every event, no matter the outcome. As Bergeron puts it so well near the end, you don't become a champion and then start acting like a champion. Chasing excellence is about living and breathing the behaviors and habits of a champion daily. Go get to work.
I love that. Simple, but yeah, profoundly challenging too. It's a constant striving, isn't it?
It really is.
It totally shifts the focus from what you have to what you do every single day. And it makes excellence feel less like something reserved for the elite and more like something within reach if you commit to that journey. Thanks for breaking down these powerful ideas from Chasing Excellence for us.
My pleasure. It's a great book with a lot to chew on.
Definitely. So if you want to dive deeper into these concepts and think about applying them to your own life, we highly recommend checking out Chasing Excellence, a story about building the world's fittest athletes by Ben Bergeron. We'll put links to the book in the description of this deep dive.
And hey, we'd love to hear from you too. Let us know in the comments. Which of these ideas resonated most with you? What's maybe one boring old habit, one tiny 1% improvement you're going to commit to this week to chase your own excellence? Share your thoughts.